Have you ever heard of a man who sold the Eiffel Tower? Not once, but twice. This isn't a movie plot. It's the true story of Victor Lustig, one of the most audacious con artists in history. Born in 1890 in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Lustig was a charismatic gentleman, fluent in multiple languages and a master of human psychology. His criminal career began with small-time scams on transatlantic cruises, but he had much bigger ambitions. His grandest scheme, the one that would cement his name in the annals of infamy, was born from a simple newspaper article. In the spring of 1925, Lustig was in Paris. The city was still recovering from the First World War, and public sentiment was a mixed bag of hope and hardship. One day, while reading a newspaper, Lustig stumbled upon an article discussing the problems with the Eiffel Tower. It was expensive to maintain, the paint was peeling, and some politicians were even suggesting it should be torn down. Remember, back then, the Eiffel Tower wasn't the beloved global icon it is today. It was built as a temporary structure for the 1889 World's Fair and was often criticized as an eyesore. For most people, this article was just a passing piece of news. But for Victor Lustig, it was a spark of genius. An audacious, brilliant, and utterly fraudulent idea began to form in his mind. Lustig saw his opportunity. He would pose as a government official and sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap metal. It sounds absurd, right? But Lustig knew that the key to any successful con is not the lie itself, but how you sell it. He forged official government stationery and sent formal invitations to a small, select group of Paris's top scrap metal dealers. He invited them to a secret meeting at the prestigious Hotel de Crillon, one of the most luxurious hotels in Paris. The setting was crucial. It created an atmosphere of legitimacy and importance. The dealers, intrigued and flattered by the exclusive invitation from a supposed Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, all showed up. In a lavish hotel suite, Lustig explained the situation. He told them the French government could no longer afford the upkeep of the Eiffel Tower and had made the difficult, top-secret decision to dismantle and sell it. He emphasized the sensitive nature of the deal, claiming the government feared a public outcry. That's why, he explained, the negotiations had to be conducted in absolute secrecy. He then took the dealers on a tour of the Eiffel Tower in a rented limousine, not to inspect the structure, but to gauge which of them was the most eager and gullible. Lustig was a master at reading people. He didn't just sell a story, he sold a dream of a massive, profitable, once-in-a-lifetime deal. Lustig had his eye on one particular dealer, André Poisson. Poisson was new to the Parisian business scene and desperate to make a name for himself. He was insecure and eager to prove his worth. Lustig picked up on this immediately. Poisson was enthusiastic, but his wife was suspicious. She wondered why such a major government deal was being handled so secretively and rushed. This was a critical moment. A lesser con man might have been spooked, but Lustig used this to his advantage. He arranged a private meeting with Poisson and confessed a secret. He lamented that as a government minister, his salary was not enough to support his lavish lifestyle. He hinted, looking for a little something extra, a bribe, to seal the deal. This was a stroke of genius. For Poisson, this wasn't a red flag, it was a sign of authenticity. In the corrupt business and political climate of the time, a crooked official seemed far more believable than an honest one. Poisson's doubts vanished. He felt he was now on the inside of a real, albeit shady, government deal. He paid Lustig the agreed-upon price for the 7,000 tons of metal, plus a hefty bribe to secure the contract. Once Lustig had the cash, he and his American accomplice, dapper Dan Collins, didn't waste a second. They boarded a train to Vienna with a suitcase full of money and vanished. Lustig eagerly scanned the Parisian newspapers for weeks, waiting for the story of his incredible scam to break. But nothing happened. Why the silence? Because André Poisson was too humiliated to go to the police. He had been tricked, and reporting it would not only make him a public laughingstock, but would also ruin his business reputation. This was exactly what Lustig had counted on. Realizing his victim would never talk, Lustig decided to push his luck. A few months later, he returned to Paris. He gathered a new group of scrap metal dealers and tried to sell the Eiffel Tower again. It's almost unbelievable, isn't it? This time, however, his chosen mark got suspicious just before the deal was finalized and went to the police. But Lustig was tipped off and managed to escape to the United States before he could be arrested. In America, Lustig continued his life of crime. He ran numerous scams, from a fake money-printing Romanian box to large-scale counterfeiting operations that nearly destabilized the U.S. economy. His 10 commandments for con artists, including listen patiently and never look bored, show his deep understanding of human nature. He was so good at his craft that even the infamous gangster Al Capone fell for one of his schemes, though Lustig cleverly talked his way out of it. Eventually, the law caught up with him. In 1935, he was arrested by federal agents for his counterfeiting operations. He escaped from a federal detention center the day before his trial, using a rope made of bedsheets, but was recaptured less than a month later in Pittsburgh. Victor Lustig was sentenced to 20 years at Alcatraz, the infamous high-security prison. He died there from pneumonia in 1947. His death certificate listed his occupation as apprentice salesman. A humble end for a man who orchestrated some of the most elaborate and daring cons in history. The story of Victor Lustig is more than just a tale of crime. It's a fascinating look into the psychology of deception. He exploited greed, ambition, and insecurity. He understood that if a story is compelling enough, people will want to believe it, especially if it promises them something they desperately desire. He proved that sometimes the biggest frauds aren't built on complex lies, but on the simple, powerful emotions of the human heart. So the next time you see the Eiffel Tower, remember the man who didn't just see a landmark. He saw a golden opportunity and sold it twice. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible tales from history. See you next time.